Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Logan will be here in 1 second. We had some Discord issues before the show started, but it's been a long 2 weeks. So, for people that don't know, uh, I got extremely sick right before Christmas, then during Christmas, and then I got a chest infection at the beginning of January. So, not off to a great start in the year. For people that have followed me for a while, this time last year I was going through bronchitis and I had that for like 8 months. There's always something going on. But it's been a long 2 weeks. There's a lot of stuff happening in gaming. And honestly, we have way too many topics for the show. We typically have anywhere between 12 and 20 plus topics. It's going to be a 2 hour show, maybe 2.5, depending on what we talk about, but it's going to be a fun show. And yes, we will be talking about Jeff Keighley's Highguard situation, because that's been interesting to see online, people's reactions to this brand new free-to-play shooter, but we'll get on with that. But for people watching live, please let me know if the audio's coming through fine, because again, 2 weeks off, and sometimes every setting on Earth resets itself, which is very annoying. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so there's been a lot happened this past 2 weeks. We had the Xbox Developer Direct, which was very good. And I think a lot of people walked away from that very happy. They announced a new game called Kiln, which we're going to be talking about in a bit. But it's been a good 2 weeks. We have had the Ubisoft situation, which we'll be talking about in depth because, as you can see in the title, Splinter Cell is there. And well, as a fan of Splinter Cell, I talk about it all the time. I may rant now and then about Splinter Cell, but we might have some good stuff to talk about. There's been a lot of Ubisoft cancellations, more than people thought there would be, but we'll get there. Now, I know Logan can hear me, so if he can, just jump back into the Discord and we'll get sorted. So I've been playing a lot of different games this past 2 weeks. There's been everything from first-person shooters, RPGs, third-person action-adventure games. It's actually been stacked. Honestly, I think there's been too many games to play. I got some games over Christmas, bought a bunch of games in the sale, and there's just not enough hours in the day. So, I've been playing more of Mafia: The Old Country. That game, it's phenomenal. For people that don't know, it's a third-person action-adventure set in 1904 Sicily. And the game is beautiful. The gameplay is great. The story is interesting. You feel like you're taking part in a story kind of like Goodfellas or the Godfather Part 1 and 2. But it's just so good. The storytelling is great. And it doesn't waste your time. I think we're so used to games that have so much bloat, open world game with 1,000 icons all over the map. You know what I mean? And you don't have that with this. It is a linear game set in a somewhat open world, and it just works. The game doesn't hold your hand. It respects your time. And hell, you can even skip driving sections if you want. Something I really like. I do enjoy the driving in that game, don't get me wrong. But if you have to redo a mission, maybe you want to go back and get some collectibles, you can just skip driving sections completely, which I think is just really cool. And I know some games do this. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 may have done something like that. I can't remember. But we'll be talking about Arc Raiders and stuff. But honestly, it's going to be a packed show. If Logan gets his Discord sorted, we'll be talking again in a couple of minutes. But anyway, Mafia: The Old Country. If people have been looking for a more linear game, I have to recommend it. It's such a cool game. And I think if a lot of people are just used to the open world bloat and a bit of a tangent, I have noticed whenever I talk about any IP or any video game in general, I always get one particular reply. People say, I wish it was open world. And I don't understand the obsession with wanting everything to be open world. I like the idea that we do have some linear games, Not every game needs to be 60 hours or 100 hours. Or if you like me with The Witcher 3, basically 200 hours. Red Dead Redemption, that is or Red Dead Redemption 2, that's a 100-hour game basically. If you're not going off the beaten path and doing a bunch of side stuff, You could play the main story, and it's like 100 hours. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the open world stuff, but that is a game that deserves and needs to be open world. But okay, so Logan's getting these things sorted. Right, if he can hear, for some reason he says displaying audio. Okay. Yeah, just reload the website and jump back in. Discord has so many issues. I don't know what's going on, but we'll get it sorted. But Mafia the Old Country, it respects your time. I'm really enjoying it. And, you know, people have been going back and forth online and in my replies talking about the game's length. The game's length is actually hard to talk about because it is a 12-hour game, but it could be potentially a 20-hour game depending on which collectibles you get. So I think that if people maybe want to pick it up in a sale, I get it, because I think it is around $50. And if you don't want to spend $50 for a 12-hour experience, I completely respect that. But for me, I'd say it's worth it. I'd say it's worth the experience, the gameplay. And look, they updated the game, I think, in late November, where you can freely drive around in between, you know, main missions, play how you want. It's not really like a Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto where you can, you know, get a wanted level, try and hide away from the cops, that type of thing. It's not like that, you know. It's you just drive around, enjoy the scenery. It is the type of game where you will use photo mode a lot, because it is a absolutely beautiful game, really beautiful. And you know, next up we'll talk about Arc Raiders quickly. Again, we'll wait till Logan gets into the show because we have like literally 22 topics. It's wild. Arc Raiders. You know, I'm a single player gamer. I don't like to dabble in PvP anymore. I'm not that guy. you know, last time I was into PvP, it was Titanfall, the first one. And ever since, I just don't enjoy it. I like the peace and relaxation of single player games, stories. But Arc Raiders is different because you can play that like a single player game. There is a structured narrative through cutscenes, but most quests require you to go to location A, pick up item or press button, go to location B, pick up item, push button, and same thing done over and over and over again. So you don't really play Arc Raiders for the missions. It's more like you just get little rewards for them. But the open world itself on each map, the way each map is designed great. Like Damn Battlegrounds is a starting map for people to get used to the different mechanics in the game. It's great. It really is. It teaches you everything, how to mantle, climb ladders, slide down ladders, everything. It teaches you how to get through the game quick and efficiently. You know, the amount of different areas in the game. You have houses, warehouses, you have factories, you have the dam itself, you have caves. So it's like Damn Battlegrounds is arguably a perfect map for teaching a player what to do and how to do it, which is really nice. But I think a lot of people will dive into Arc Raiders for the first time because you've seen, like, whether you like multiplayer games or not, everyone's saying people have gone absolutely nuts over Arc Raiders. A lot of people don't even play multiplayer games, have bought Arc Raiders and they're enjoying it. And it's because you can kind of play it at your own pace, you know? If you're playing a PvP game, and this is one of the reasons why I don't really do PvP anymore, you fire up something like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, name any team-based PvP game. You start on one side of the map, the other players start on the other side of the map, and you run towards the center and see who dies first. You know, I don't find that gameplay loop fun anymore. I might be in the minority, but I just don't find it fun. But with this, you have 30 minutes to do what you want. Do you want to go in and get loot? Cool. Do you want to go in and fight robots? You can do that. Or do you want to fight other players? You can do that. You can team up with other players. Like, I've just randomly bumped into other people and we've shared items, you know? Maybe I needed something for my workbench. They needed something for theirs. And it's all kind of fun, right? And there's these things called harvester events. And you go to a certain place on the map and there's a queen. This thing is absolutely massive. And it is like a video gamey boss where you take down its armor pieces and then there's a glowing core. And guess what you have to do with that glowing core? You have to shoot it. It's a very gamey thing, but it just works. And it's a fun thing. However, there have been people, and these are the annoying folk. People have seen reference to this online, people calling them rats. You'll have people camp on the outside of a map or near a queen and not participate in trying to take it down, but they will stay on the outskirts and wait till everyone's taken out the queen, picked up all the reactors from it, and then they'll go over and try and take out other players, right? It's scummy behavior, and the funny thing is, every time I've complained about this online, people complain that I'm complaining. It's like, why would I play a PvP game if I'm just going to complain? And then the beautiful part is that the developers came out and said that the game wasn't really designed as a PvP game. It's just an option, right? So vindication is sweet. But I do think over time the developers will put some maybe PvE only modes in or something, right? There's millions of players. I think one of the Arc Raiders news accounts recently said that there was over 3.3 million players concurrently playing across all platforms, like last week, and there wasn't really a big event happening. So that was just people picking up the game and enjoying it. And if you're like me and you play single player games, there's a lot of fun to be had there. But when you have these people going into matches and ruining them, it's like I'd never understood that mentality with video games. You'll have people that'll play Warzone or Apex or something like that, and they'll have cheats. You'll have people that'll camp in things like Escape from Tarkov and Arc Raiders. I would like if anyone ever knows anyone that does this, please let me know. Like, what is the enjoyment in that? And not just cheating, but just ruining the game for other people. I don't understand that. And hopefully, the Arc Raiders developers get a handle on it. Logan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. How's it going? I finally got it figured out.
Okay. No, it's all good, man. I was just saying, I was complaining about the rats and Arc Raiders and all that stuff. But now that you're here, what have you been playing, man?
Oh, I've been playing a ton of Death Stranding.
Oh, nice.
Basically, that has encompassed a ton of my time. Let's see, I was in Act 2 or 3. So now I'm in I think Act 8 or 9 now. So I've been booking it during this snowstorm. It's not like I can go anywhere. so,
Yeah.
um, So I've just been playing a lot of Death Stranding, and it's ironic because the section I'm in now, I'm like in whiteout blizzard conditions
Oh,
in the
yeah. I remember
mountains.
that
And
part.
I'm like, okay, this is funny, a bit on the nose, but um, really love it. Like you said, there's no other game like it. It's truly like an A24 like artiste kind of title. Like, I can totally see why it's getting a film, and, like, the actors and actresses are great. The story is interesting and fascinating, and, the first time I tried the game or heard of it, I was like, "Yeah, okay. I travel around and deliver stuff, whatever." But the more I get into it and, like, the overall message and like the mechanics behind it and all the characters, like learning more about who Deadman is or Hartman or these characters and like why they have the names they do and like the side quests. It's just awesome. And it's really cool when you find a device that somebody else made and it literally is a lifesaver for a mission you're on.
Yeah.
Like I'm out in the mountains and thank God somebody had made a safe house level 3 up there,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I would have been screwed if that wasn't there at that spot. Because I was transporting some cargo that would, like, if you bumped something the wrong way, it was game over. So I I was really happy to get that. and like being able to like I donated a bunch of supplies to one thing somebody was making because it's like I don't need these supplies anyways right now,
Yeah.
and I'll pay it forward and help somebody else out. Maybe they'll help me out down the line, and it's a really good, awesome game that encourages working together, even if you aren't directly working together.
Nice. Have you played anything else? Okay, I think Logan's audio's went again. Logan, are you there? We'll get it sorted. If I look, yeah, I'll check while we're live. Down detector is usually good at telling you whether. But then again, if it is Blizzard there, yeah, tell
Hey,
me if
I'm back. Sorry about that.
that's all right. What else have you been playing?
Oh, just basically Death Stranding.
Yeah,
Like lots and lots of Death Stranding.
yeah. I mean, before we get into what else I've been playing, back to Death Stranding. One of the cool gameplay mechanics about that game, like you said, is people building and leaving other things for you. And when I played the game, when I came to Xbox, it's funny because I thought, right, I've got this spare ladder. I'm going to put this down so other people can cross this river easily, right? So I cross this, river. I put my ladder down, and then the next day I go back to see if my ladder has any likes. My God, what a meta thing that is. So I go to my ladder, and someone put a big bridge next to my ladder. I thought, well, you're showing me up. like,
He's like, I can do one better, buddy.
yeah, it's
Here's
like
a
right
bridge.
next to it as well. And I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here. But it was all in fun. It's such a good game. The thing is, it's a weird game. We've talked about this a million times. Like Death Stranding is a weird game. It's in Game Pass now for people that don't know. Play it. It is a bizarre game. It's so bizarre because like you can make grenades out of pee and poo.
Blood and shower water.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's like those are useful items. But the game, as weird as it is, I mean, look, you drink energy drinks. There's these little worms you can eat. Like, it's just weird. And I love it because of that. And I think gaming needs more weird stuff. It's one of the reasons why I'm a fan of Kojima because I think he's been taking all kinds of stuff before he writes these games, and it just works. Like even the characters, like if Metal Gear fans will know, like every name of these characters are so on the nose. You have Die Hard Man, Fragile, and guess what Fragile is? She's fragile. It's like everything is
Mama
so,
is a mother. Who
yeah,
knew?
yeah, everything's so on the nose, but it just works. But like, yeah, I think if people have Game Pass, give it a go. It took me like 42 hours to do my playthrough. Like, and it's a weirdly addictive game as well. It has the reputation of, hey, it's a FedEx guy simulator, and you also turn people's internet back on. But it
It's so
works.
much more than that.
Yeah, it's so much more than that, and it's just absurdly addictive. The amount of different gameplay mechanics, the writing itself, yeah, the gameplay is excellent. There's so many different gameplay mechanics in that game. Where like if you find a hot spring, you can take a bath in it and just like relax and get your stamina up. You can carry a spare pair of boots on your back because you'll need them because your boots actually wear down. And I got to a point in the game, and this will be different for a lot of people, where you have to get to a different base that's over a lot of like rocky landscape. And
Mm-hmm.
I was getting to a point, and I was thinking, look, I may be walking the wrong way. I don't know what's wrong. But like it's infuriated me because I was going through multiple pairs of boots in the game. And one day I just turned on my Xbox, I turned on the game, and there was a highway literally from where I was to where I needed to go. Someone had built that, and I was like, that beautiful person, I gave them 2 likes. Like that beautiful person, whoever they are, they built that road. And it basically saved the game for me. But everyone's going to be different. Everyone's like roads are going to be completely different. Last time I loaded into the mountains, someone was making a road there. I don't know how anyone has the energy for that stuff. I do not like crafting in video games,
Yeah,
but
God bless them though, man.
yeah, but God bless these people. Like they will spend their time making these roads. Like some people are really into that. That's cool. Um, but yeah,
Man, I will tell you for the mountains, the all-terrain mech
oh yeah,
legs make life so much better, especially that gold tier 3.
yeah,
Like, man, I am climbing like a spider monkey right now. It is amazing.
yeah. I use that all the time. I think but that's a cool thing. Everyone's playthrough is going to be completely different. I will say this, and this isn't really a spoiler. The parcels and like stuff you carry they can deteriorate over time due to the weather or if you fall over and whatnot. It's easy to manage. But there's a particular item you have to transport at one point, and it's basically a nuke. And one
Yeah,
of the
if you
items you can use in the game is this like huge catapult where you can fire the stuff you have to deliver. Well, this clearly got patched without me knowing about it because there was these like YouTube videos on how you can actually put the nuke in the launcher. I found out the hard way.
you just destroy Megaton. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, Death Stranding's all in fun. And trying to sell people in that game, it's not easy because it's a weird game where you deliver stuff and turn people's internet back on. But it's got action. It's got third person shooting. It's got some stealth, but it's a cinematic adventure as well, and it's Kojima just going wild with stories, but it works. You know what? Before we get into all the topics, actually, I'll save the Final Fantasy stuff in a bit because the show's still getting started. People are still coming to the show. If you're enjoying the show, please share it out. We've had 2 weeks off because I had a stupid lung infection or chest infection, whatever you want to call it. Still here, but we're getting through with it. Logan, we have like 50 topics. Let's get into it. And first up, we'll start off with Anthem. So Anthem got shut down during the last podcast, or since the last podcast, and it's a bit of a shame because BioWare, they had so much potential with that game, and it got shut down. It didn't really get a lot of content. It was one of those games that came out where hey, Destiny's a thing, and all these other games are out that are kind of like Destiny, but none of them are taken off. I think The Division survived because of its great gameplay. And plus that just had millions upon millions of people playing it. But you have Anthem, which had excellent gameplay, but it was this live service style game made by the developers of Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic and Dragon Age. And it just didn't take off. And, I bought I think it was like the collector's. It wasn't the collector's edition. It was the limited edition with the DLC on the disc. And you got the Legion of Dawn edition, right?
Yeah, that was a good purchase, let me tell you what.
Yeah, it's just a coaster now. But
Steelbook coaster, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the game got shut down. The game did have excellent gameplay. In fact, I watched a kind of a documentary kind of thing made by one of the people that worked on Anthem. I'll have to give you the link, Logan. But like one of the creators, one of the higher ups at BioWare, went through his entire experience through development, and it turns out when they were making the game, Destiny was announced, right? And then when the developers start playing Destiny and they saw that it was like the game they were making, they couldn't really figure out whether they wanted to change or not, and they couldn't explain to the higher ups what made their game so special. So, like, I mean, look, I could talk about BioWare all day, but yeah, Anthem unfortunately got shut down, and I do hope it gets to a point where all of these games have offline modes, because it is a bit of a shame that you can buy a game one day and then it can just be completely turned off the next. Logan, have you got anything else to say on Anthem? Because we've talked about it before, but now it's finally shut down.
It was a take a shot and you miss all the shots you don't take, so go ahead, swing for the fences, see what happens, and they failed spectacularly, but I give them credit for trying. It was clearly outside of their expertise, and their general base of doing games. It was, innovative. It was cool. It was an idea to take something that was kind of starting to become a genre and try to apply their known stuff to it. And it just didn't work out. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that combined with, Andromeda and, Veilguard, it created this snowball spiral of doom that's kind of been percolating for BioWare, and I hope they get their together for Mass Effect 4, because if not, then, well, curtains, hugs, and kisses for BioWare.
Yeah. It's a shame, because that game had so much potential. Um, but hey, it is what it is. You know what? We'll talk about this now because you brought it up, Logan. Banjo. Now I know Banjo. You really like those games, and it's been so long since we've actually had one. What's been going on in the world of Banjo?
Well, basically, you remember that game Dreams for PlayStation?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Where
but you make stuff.
people could build games inside the game and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, basically, like, not in Dreams, but somebody has recompiled Banjo, like the original one, and in this project of theirs, and has recompiled it and basically done a remake remaster of the original one. And they've done a great job. It's very popular. Lots of people like it. And it's on PlayStation and other stuff, but funny enough, it's not on Xbox, which is just very ironic because, Xbox owns Banjo and they ain't doing jack with it. So you might as well let the people have the do it at home banjo if you're not gonna have the courtesy to make a new banjo anytime soon. So that's kind of just poured salt in the wound and irritated folks because, we've talked ad nauseum. There was that Smash reveal, the internet like collapsed. People were so
Oh
excited.
yeah,
We thought we would get a new banjo, and like, gosh, it feels like a decade later we still have Jack about Banjo. And thankfully, we've got Spyro and Crash, sounds like, in the works, various projects, which makes me happy. But I'd also like Banjo as well. And this is just like, really? Like, I'm glad somebody's doing it. I'm happy. Wish I could play it on Xbox, but it just makes me more annoyed at how it's been a giant fumble from Xbox
yeah,
for that franchise in particular. I know Rare has to have interest in it, but still, let somebody do something with it.
yeah. Do you know what would be the best like outcome for Banjo at this point? I think like Microsoft clearly have like a lot of studios, a bunch of which are working on different games. Like you have Double Fine working on Kiln, right? I think the best thing for Banjo and games like that would be if they can't get a remake studio or like a studio like Toys for Bob on it, right? They should have one of their studios make smaller games. You know, you have Obsidian making like 5 games at a time, right? Multiple big RPGs in a smaller, they're smaller games as well, such as Pentiment and Grounded 2, 1 and 2. Like, I think the best thing for that would be just like get one of their smaller teams and one of their studios to make a Banjo game or something, because like there's definitely room for that. Like, if you have room for a pottery PvP game, you know, um, I think you do for Banjo. We'll be talking about killing again in a bit, but like there's definitely a market for these types of games. You have Astro Bot on PlayStation that did really well. You have Mario, obviously does ridiculous numbers on Nintendo, but like you said, when that character was announced for Super Smash Bros. Years ago, there was like huge excitement over Banjo Online, and then nothing happened. And like I saw that reaction, I think it was like Nintendo, like the Nintendo store in New York or something. Like fans lost their minds, right, over a Smash Brothers character, and an amiibo. And it's like there's clearly an audience there, you know. I get it, right? I love the fact that Microsoft's focusing on RPGs. Like that's a big focus. That's the main thing I play.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, like there's a big market out there for platformers. Like, look, remember when the Crash trilogy came out? Do you know the Crash trilogy was #1 in the UK for like 3 months straight?
That's impressive.
Yeah, and at that point we hadn't had a Crash Bandicoot game in close to 10 years, maybe, and those ones weren't highly regarded. Although I did like Crash of the Titans. I thought that was a fun game. Like the Crash Bandicoot games, the trilogy, those games haven't been around for a long time, and that you had this remake, #1. Like that was #1 when it launched on PlayStation first, and then it was #1 again when it launched on Xbox and the Switch, right? So there's clearly an audience there for platformers, and I think hopefully Microsoft realizes this at some point because these certainly have enough studios for it. You know what? This is going to be a fun topic, and I think we should talk about this now. So Jeff Keighley announced a game at the Game Awards. By the way,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Oh, jeez.
I've been dying to talk about this because
Oh man, this is gonna be so fun. All
yeah,
right, go
oh my
ahead.
god, I can't wait. So the Game Awards happened, and by the way, I think Jeff Keighley's show it was fantastic. There's a bunch of games there I can't wait for. We had a brand new Knights of the Old Republic game there. Like, what? Yeah, like nobody expected a third Knights of the Old Republic game. Nobody did, right? Maybe the remake, definitely, but not Knights of the Old Republic 3. Although what we'll call now is FOTOR. That will take some getting used to. And in the past, the one more thing at the Game Awards has been pretty bad. A lot of the time, right? A couple of years ago, the one more thing at the Game Awards was actually a Fast and the Furious video game, which isn't even available on game stores anymore, right? And that game looked terrible, by the way. Like, there's footage out there. Watch it. Awful. And the sad thing is, I think that game is actually canon to the Fast and the Furious universe. Excuse me while I jump through a brick wall. So anyway, the one more thing at the Game Awards was a new game called Highguard by the developers of Titanfall and Apex Legends. Now, as soon as he said that, you heard the audience go, ooh, because Titanfall 1, my God, it's some of the best first-person shooter multiplayer gameplay I've ever had, right? I talk about how I don't play multiplayer anymore. Titanfall was that beacon of hope for me for something new, and I enjoyed that. And we haven't had a game like Titanfall since Titanfall. And, a lot of people in the crowd were thinking we were going to get Titanfall 3, even though it wasn't an EA game. Anyway, so they announced this game called Highguard, and then it shows you the main character jumping on a horse, and it goes to first person, and it looked like Battleborn, Overwatch, name any of those hero shooters. It had that very like, oh, look at me, I'm a 2016 hero shooter, right? And it's a free to play game, but like that, if that's your one more thing, right? And you announced like the third Knights of the Old Republic game early in the show, this has to be like top notch. This has to be one of the best looking games ever. And this is a multiplayer game which Jeff Keighley had played and thought looks great, and it's going to be the next big thing, right? I think him putting all that weight on this game made the situation worse, because beforehand, it was originally going to be a free-to-play game that shadow dropped, much like Apex Legends. Apex Legends was a shadow drop game, right? And it worked out for Apex Legends, but all eyes have been on this game. Yeah, people have been calling it Concord 2.0, but people have been looking at this game thinking, wow, Jeff Keighley had this as the one more thing. This has to be like some triple S tier game. And for some reason, the developers went completely silent for over a month, till about 3 days ago, where they said, hey, we're going to have a launch event on the 26th. The game's going to go live on the 26th, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the game comes out. Oh, by the way, before the game came out, Jeff Keighley posted that gif of, in 48 hours, you're going to be owing me an apology thing.
Oh, Jurassic Park, yeah.
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 Like, that tweet has aged like milk lent on the front doorstep during summertime. My God in heaven. Uh, but it's hilarious as well. The memes have been amazing. So the game comes out. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Logan. I don't think most people in chat saw this. So this tweet went viral yesterday because some people have been flown out to these events as happens with these video game showcases. And this was actually a post someone wrote because nobody's really explained what Highguard is. They're just talking about it, right? So this post said it's not an extraction game, it's not a battle royale. In fact, it's both. That doesn't mean anything. Both of those genres cancel each other out. You can't have an extraction game that's a battle royale game. That doesn't even make sense. And they kept saying, "Oh, it's got great shooting," but nobody was explaining what the game was, what it was about. And anyway, so it's a 3v3 raid game, whatever that wants to be, and it looks like Overwatch with horses. And it reached a peak concurrent user base of over 90,000 players on Steam, and then it dropped in half in just a few hours. Now, I haven't played the game. However, I don't do PvP games. I don't want to have that in my achievement record. And by the way, I'm not one of these people that, like, if I play a game and get one achievement, it's not going to bother me that it's an incompleted game. Like, but this, it doesn't tickle my fancy, so to speak. It doesn't look like it's for me. Because, look, I don't like Overwatch. I don't like any of those types of games. They're not for me. And it just seems like the weirdest situation because this game that could have just launched yesterday is this free-to-play game out of nowhere where people would have downloaded it regardless because it is free. But people had all eyes on it for over a month because we wondered what the hell's going on. Like, they announced the game and went silent for a month. Silent. Like, not a single post on Twitter, nothing on YouTube, nothing. No, Vidocs talking about what the game's about, what was the inspiration. And it's like an Overwatch style game. At least that's how it looks. But people are saying it's a combination of different PvP style games. And then this is when I was like, okay, I see what's happening. I went to the Xbox store and I thought maybe I should download it. And then I went to see if there were any reviews on the Xbox store, and I couldn't find any yet. However, if you scroll to the bottom of an Xbox store page, you have the add-ons such as DLC, and there was an endless list of fake coins and currency you could buy. And I was thinking, look, I know this is a free-to-play game. I know it will have this kind of stuff, but come on, right? Like, really? And, like, the game just, it doesn't look appealing. Jeff Keighley has been ratioed into oblivion. It's bad. Bad as in hilarious, though, for us. And, like, look, Jeff Keighley, he could put on a good show, but I do not understand what the hype was for this game because, Logan, have you heard anyone in your Twitter feed or anything, or just say in person, like, you know what I want? A brand new hero shooter.
Not a single person.
Weird. So weird that, because it's 2026 and we're still getting new hero shooters. Like, I knew Marvel Rivals was going to be popular simply because, one, it's Marvel and the amount of characters they came out with, the amount of maps and everything. That game was destined to be big, and it was a third person game as well. But with this, I just don't see anyone wanting something like that, right? It's the most bizarre situation. Because, look, I know you don't like PvP games. Like, I know you're more into cooperative stuff such as, like, Hell Divers and whatnot. But, like, when you first saw this game and seeing the reaction now, like, what's your overall take on Highguard, the game?
My overall take was this is a DOA game. And that if there were physical copies, they'd be showing up in a couple months at Five Below, which is like a $5 or less store in the US. I don't know if y'all have those in the UK, but um it just it looked like a stereotypical like hero shooter we have at home. kind of game.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's harsh, but honestly, I'm just so tired of these attempts to just ride a train of current. Well, this isn't even a current trend. Hero shooters have been on the way out for a while, in my opinion,
Oh
but
yeah.
it just, it's like, what are we doing? Part of me agrees that Keeley put a spotlight on this, like, really amped up the stuff and made their life worse. But part of me also thinks that maybe they wouldn't have gotten any attention at all if he hadn't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the reasons for why he promoted this game so much. Maybe he's one of those people who just really, really liked this game for some reason. And if he does, kudos to him. I'm glad he found something he likes. Or if this was a, hey, can you promote our game kind of thing. I don't know, but it's certainly curious. And it makes the decision to make this the one more thing game instead of, Fate of the Old Republic or, I don't know, a Half Life 3, something absolutely, you know, jaw dropping, like, oh my gosh, that happened. And you make it a shovelware looking hero shooter that kind of has some abandoned vibes to it.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah. It is weird the situation like they've been put in because all eyes have been on them for a month, and we just don't know what's going to happen now. And apparently they've put out a year long roadmap. I haven't seen it, but
At least it's not a 10-year plan. That'd be death sentence.
yeah, yeah. I mean, outside of Destiny, who's said a 10-year plan and it's worked? I can't think of any.
No one I can think of.
Yeah. But hey, that's Highguard. Look, we're probably going to be talking about. I will be interested to see what the player count's going to be like next week, because if you drop in like half of your player base in just a couple of hours, like, and we've got a couple of different metrics to go off as well. So you have Battlefield 6, which that's lost 90% of its player base on Steam. We can only go off Steam's numbers. In just a couple of months, you have Arc Raiders, which is holding on really well. That's having a couple of 100,000, per day concurrent players on Steam. It must be doing really well on Xbox and PlayStation as well, because again, they had 3 million players the other day. So, I mean, look, I hope the developers, have luck with the game, but I just don't see people wanting a new hero shooter. Like, and it did look like it was like trying to tick all these boxes, and like, look, we have the 3 armor plate system from Warzone. We have the map lane style of something like a MOBA game, right? And it's all like a bunch of different genres mixed together. But I mean, we'll see. We'll talk about it next week. But I just wanted to mention it because like Jeff Keighley was like pushing this game. Like it must have been something special. And hey, maybe it's the first multiplayer game in a long time that's really clicked with him. Like hell, the last multiplayer game that properly clicked with me, that was a PvP only game. That was Titanfall, right? And that was 2014. So hey, it is what it is. Let's see what we've got next. You know what? A bunch of these things happened in pretty quickly. So a couple of days after last week's show, or well, the last week's show we missed, Ubisoft had some weird leaks and a complete disaster in the same day. So basically, Tom Warren and all these people that are very accurate when it comes to their Ubisoft leaks said that, hey, we're going to get Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time remake was going to be shadow dropped in January, and the Assassin's Creed 4 remake is going to be coming out in March. Now, that was music to my ears because, one, I've been waiting to play a lot of us have been waiting to play this Prince of Persia remake for a very long time. It's been rebooted several times, and Assassin's Creed 4, in my opinion, is the best pirate game of all time. So, like, for me, this was all good. Anyway, fast forward 24 hours, and all hell broke loose. It turns out that Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake has been cancelled, and apparently Ubisoft has shut down, I think, 2 studios, and they've shut down 6 games, one of which being the Prince of Persia game. My heart sunk when I saw that because, one, I've been wanting to play Prince of Persia for a long time. We've talked about it a million times because it's been rebooted and gone through like 4 different studios. When they first showed it off in 2022, I think it was, it looked worse than the original Xbox version. It was bad. And then you have it going through several different phases, going through different developers. At one point, apparently, there was one developer in India working on the Switch version. Right? So, like, they haven't had the best of luck with this Prince of Persia remake. And, they had a full, like, CGI teaser trailer during the last Ubisoft showcase, which was, I think, 2 years ago. It's when they had the showcase for Star Wars Outlaws. So, like, it's been all over the place for that. And apparently Assassin's Creed 4 Remake is still in development, but it's been put back a bit. Obviously, I think they want more people to buy Shadows. It kind of makes sense. But the other 5 games are completely unknown. Now, oh yeah, by the way, Logan, you mentioned the video, the under $5 store before.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I saw it in chat, and I want to mention this because we have something like that in the UK called Poundland. Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that would have a completely different meaning here.
yeah, I know. I know Americans find that funny, but it is kind of funny. But like, in the UK, yeah, it's just Poundland. But everywhere else, it sounds like a different kind of place. And we have Pound World, like. It is funny. I'd say that's the thing. I talk to too many Americans online, so I do find it funny. Poundland. But yeah, Prince of Persia, it's cancelled. 5 other games are in development that were cancelled. There is apparently a turn-based XCOM style Rainbow Six game in development. That is unknown if that's cancelled. So like, it's a terrible name for a store. But in the UK, it's pound sterling. It makes sense. Anyway, back to Ubisoft. I think that if you're a Ubisoft fan like me, like they had so much potential. If you look at Ubisoft going from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, Revelations, 4, you had Splinter Cell Blacklist, Splinter Cell Conviction, you had Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, you had Far Cry 3, you had Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, you had Ghost Recon Future Warfare, all those games, right? Within like the space of 5 years, they had so many amazing different games, so much variety, and like over time, they've just gotten worse and worse. And by the way, I like a lot of Ubisoft games. I enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws. I enjoyed Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. But all these latest moves that's happening, they're going through it at the minute. And these latest cancellations, I mean, Ubisoft, they are in a weird place at the minute. We don't know what's coming now. Their roadmap doesn't exist. And basically, it's going to get to a point where some random Assassin's Creed game is going to be... Oh, yeah, and apparently Watch Dogs is done as an IP. I heard this about 2 years ago, by the way, from someone, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, and I hoped it wasn't true. Yeah, it's real. Watch Dogs is done. Which is a shame. That franchise had endless potential. But, going through a different protagonist each time, especially the way they went with Legion, where it was fun, but there wasn't a main protagonist. Basically, every character in the game was a protagonist. But Ubisoft, they having a rough time at the minute. Logan, what's your take? Because it's wild. We've both been talking about these games for a long time, especially, Prince of Persia. Splinter Cell is currently unknown, but it was a rough week.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised about Prince of Persia specifically, because that one had already been rebooted like 4 times. And like you said, when they first debuted it, it looked literally worse than the original Xbox version it was remaking. Which is, unless you're doing a demake game,
Yeah.
That's not what you want. So, yeah, it was I'm not surprised about that one. Still bummed, but at least the original is playable on Xbox or GOG if you have it. And it hopefully the franchise continues in some capacity. But yeah, like 5 other games just getting axed at once. It's like Ubisoft just sent a whole bunch of games to a firing squad. It's like, my goodness. Like, that'd make EA bluff. 6 at once? Goodness. Like, that's ruthless. And I know they've had financial troubles, but my word. And I hope Splinter Cell's okay. It's like the Darth Vader meme, is Padme safe? Is
Yeah.
Padme okay? It's like that for Splinter Cell these days. But yeah, I don't know, man. Ubisoft doesn't give me reassuring, confident vibes anymore.
Yeah. It's a shame, like the thing is, I feel like I'm in like a weird relationship with Ubisoft because I like a lot of their games, right? I liked Watch Dogs 1. It had its flaws. Watch Dogs 2, I think that suffered on Xbox mainly because it came out at a weird time before the Xbox One X, so it never got its upgrade. So like it looks pretty bad. It is 60 frames on Series X, which is nice. Um, but like, I actually enjoyed Watch Dogs Legion. It was flawed to hell, right? But I enjoyed it. But man, like that IP alone had so much like potential. Star Wars Outlaws wasn't one of the games, but Star Wars Outlaws 2 got cancelled apparently 6 months ago or something like that. And it's a shame. They have a lot of IP I like. Like Rainbow Six Vegas has to be one of my all-time co-op, games. I played that with a friend online. It was so much fun, and just like the setting alone, like breaching into a casino at night while you're like rappelling down the building. It was just so cool. Splinter Cell Blacklist. I am a defender of that game. It has the best level design of any Splinter Cell game. The Assassin's Creed games. I love Assassin's Creed. I absolutely. I have the Assassin's Creed encyclopedias. Right. I love those games. Some over time I've enjoyed, some less, some more. Like Mirage was a very good step in the right direction. Before we continue with the rest of the show and the topic, we have first super chat of the day by Nick W. Thank you very much for the $4.99. Good to see you in chat again. He says, hopefully someone buys these IPs. With everything going on with Ubisoft at the minute, I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, because so for people that don't know, basically a bunch of different IPs that Ubisoft's working on are being put into different development groups. So basically, each group is going to be responsible for its own profits, basically. So you're going to have Rainbow Six and all these other games. They have some PC-centric live service games, and all these are going to be lumped in together. You have Assassin's Creed and other, RPGs that are going to be responsible for themselves. What's it called? I can't say the word. Compartmentalization. Try and say that 5 times quick. But it looks like they're doing that with a bunch of different genres. And I like Ubisoft, right? But maybe selling IP off would work. Like I would like to see someone else do Splinter Cell because nobody else is doing anything with Splinter Cell. And until I see a single frame of the Splinter Cell remake in action, I don't think it exists. I keep saying this because I want Ubisoft to prove me wrong. I've been dying for a new Splinter Cell game. Like, sell it off to somebody else. I don't care who, right? I don't know who else could make a good Splinter Cell game. But my God in heaven, at least do something with the IP. Do you know every time a brand new Ubisoft game gets announced or there's a mobile game gets announced and they show off a third echelon skin or Splinter Cell skin, I die inside a little. It makes me sick, right? Like, you're cashing in on the fandom of Splinter Cell and you're doing absolutely zip all with it. Zip all with it. And by the way, another rumor was that we were going to get a Splinter Cell Blacklist remaster. If that happens, I'm game. I love Blacklist. I think it's really cool. I won't spoil it, but there's a particular mission in Blacklist that actually changes genres. I'll just say that. But Blacklist was so cool, and I think Ubisoft going forward. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Logan. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development.
Ow. Is that game like a legal requirement at this point?
It has to be. It has to be. Like, how much money because the first trailer for that came out in 2009. Like, really? We have
2
another
gens ago. Impressive.
we have a super chat by Pyro Mad. Thank you very much for the £2. He says Ubisoft needs some Viagra. They need something. Look, I love a lot of Ubisoft games. Like, when Far Cry 3 came out, I don't know if it was the same in the US, but when Far Cry 3 came out in the UK, there was no advertising for it whatsoever. Basically none. But do you know how that game became top of the charts in the UK? Word of mouth, right? Because a couple of nerds, including myself, bought Far Cry 3 and then just start talking about it, start telling other people, and then those people got it, right? Far Cry 3 basically changed a lot of how Ubisoft works, because that, for people that have never played Far Cry 2, that is a hard game to go back to. Because you can get malaria in the game, you have to keep taking malaria pills, you can pass out. Its gameplay was a bit weird. Your weapons could break, And for people that know me, I hate weapon degradation in video games. Hate it. It's like it's one of the top 5 things I don't like. I don't like spiders. I don't like clowns, and breakable weapons in video games. That's up there too, right? It's shocking how different Far Cry 3 was. And, it had these towers which unlocked parts of the map, right? And that's where the meme came from, because that was basically one of the first games that did it outside of Assassin's Creed. And Ubisoft have just gone back and forth over the years with different gameplay mechanics, and they're in a weird place, because Ubisoft for the longest time became this content farm for open world games, where Assassin's Creed would have Far Cry elements, Far Cry would have Assassin's Creed elements, Watch Dogs would have Assassin's Creed elements, and it got to a point where people were wondering, why doesn't Watch Dogs, why does Watch Dogs exist when technically you could have a modern Assassin's Creed game? That is one of my theories as to why they got rid of Watch Dogs as an IP, because Assassin's Creed will go to a modern era at some point. It's going to have to. But, man, Ubisoft are not having the best look at the minute. My God. So
You know who would make a good Prince of Persia if they could buy the IP somehow?
Who?
Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory. You know what? I'm down with that. Although it would take them like 10 years to make, because they like doing the super amazing graphics.
Yeah, I was just thinking with their experience with Enslaved,
Yeah.
Heavenly Sword, DMC, Hellblade, I think they'd be game for it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'll take anyone, right? Just sell off the IP. And, maybe they will at some point. I think if you break it down, the higher ups at Ubisoft have to go.
They're pretty awful.
Yeah, they're making terrible decisions time and time again. And it's like, when people fondly talk about Ubisoft, we talk about what I've just said. Assassin's Creed 1 through 4. You have, Splinter Cell Blacklist. Splinter Cell Blacklist's a weird game, by the way, because it's an amazing game, but people talk about it negatively because of the main voice actor. Michael Ironside is Sam Fisher, but he was sick. He was too sick to do the role, and they wanted to do mocap in the game as well. I think the guy that played him did a perfectly fine job. But my God, Ubisoft, so much potential with their games. Siphon Filter devs, they could basically anyone, and I'm saying this as an Xbox guy, just sell it off, sell Splinter Cell off to anyone at this point, because I can't take waiting anymore. And what really annoys me about Splinter Cell, before we change topic, Splinter Cell Blacklist came out right before the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out. It was one of these weird, last gen games at the time where it didn't get a port at all, where a bunch of other games were. So you had Batman Arkham Origins, you had Splinter Cell Blacklist, and at the time you had South Park, which were these 3 games that were never going to get like next gen versions. Thankfully, South Park did. But like, you think there's so much money to be there or to be had. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I see in chat, like the voice actor thing. Again, I'm okay with voice actors changing. It doesn't bother me. Didn't bother me with Blacklist. Takes some getting used to, but after 2 minutes, you get on with the rest of your day. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, we'll move on from Ubisoft because again, we still have like 10 topics. You know what? This is quite funny. So people have been memeing that we aren't going to see GTA this decade because there's always something, right? Maybe some people get fired from Rockstar North, and there's some lawsuit happening. Many different reasons, right? There's some wild leak a while back by some person, and that person got prosecuted or something. Someone that worked for Rockstar, their son leaked some stuff, right? It's been wild. And then this year, we finally meant to get GTA 6, and then what happens? The boiler blows up in Rockstar North. It feels like it's all made up at this point, right? It's like the universe is trying to stop us from playing GTA 6 no matter what happens, right? So to stop, I would be shocked, right, if there isn't some sort of alien or robot invasion just to stop us from playing GTA 6. You're going to have some Fallen Skies or Walking Dead situation where we're going to be fighting for RAM like it's the end of our lives, and we're still waiting on GTA. But I just thought it was funny. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But like, of all things to happen, the boiler at Rockstar North blows up. Come on. Now, thankfully, it does look like Rockstar will still release their game this year. Look, all eyes are on GTA 6 this year. It will be interesting to see if that will actually make Jeff Keighley's deadline for the Game Awards. Let's be honest, we know it will. Things will be changed just for GTA. But Logan, what's your thought on hearing that Rockstar North's boiler blew up?
Yeah, that was weird. It kind of reminded me of the studio that did Phasmophobia.
Oh yeah.
Like Playphonic or Tonic or something like that. I can't remember. Awesome game though. Like right when they were scheduling to release it finally for console, their office caught on fire mysteriously, they said. And then it delayed the game and everybody's like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. But then, things worked out and they released the game, and it's always a top seller and most played game on Xbox, so clearly going well. But it did remind me of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at this point people kind of just know the game will probably get delayed again because why not? It did kind of come out yesterday that apparently Take-Two are considering delaying the physical release to stop leaks. That I 100%
I don't blame
believe.
them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, look, considering how many copies they're going to sell, it's going to sell great regardless. I will say this, I do want the physical copy because I like the fact they give you a map. Yes, I'm stuck in the past. But I like the idea of getting that, maybe a collector's edition. Trying to get a GTA collector's edition in the UK is always been difficult. This time around, I do want one. But, man, like, something...
You're going to be fighting for your life like Black Friday for that thing.
Like that, it's going to be nuts, whatever happens with that game and its release. But, yeah, hopefully it does happen this year. I will say that maybe if it does get pushed to 2027, it won't be the end of the world. There are a lot of developers betting that it will actually get delayed. like if you're a developer and you plan to release your game in November, obviously the Given and Soul in chat, good to see you, man. I would bet there's like an 80% chance that GTA is gonna It's going to be delayed. Will it be the end of the world? No. But hey, it is what it is. You know what? We'll get into one of the big ones now. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, since the dawn of time, people have been wanting Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox. We've asked for years. Nothing ever happened. Going back to the early episodes of this podcast, you'll have heard myself and Logan say there's a snowball's chance in hell in it happening this gen. Maybe we'll get some games when the trilogy's done. And it's kind of gotten slightly better over time to the point where we're like, maybe we'll actually get these games by the end of the generation. Well, anyway, some Xbox Summer Showcase, we finally get the announcement trailer. Now, my reaction is live, where you can hear me go maybe way too high pitch, because I got way too excited. And you know what? The game came out. Oh, by the way, legally, I have to say this. Thank you, Square Enix, for providing the review code. It's greatly appreciated. The game's finally here. And before I get into my impressions of the game, I have to say this. I'm trying to think how I can say this without mentioning names. You know, screw it. You have these detractors on social media which will look for negative things to talk about, even though there's nothing to talk about. People going out of the way to try and say that, hey, Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is number 1 on the Switch store and number 50th or whatever on Xbox Live. Now, as someone that actually knows stuff about Xbox and how their store works, you typically don't have an accurate representation of how a game's selling sometimes till a week later, right? It's never straight away. It's never 2 days. It always takes some time. So anyway, people load up their stores today, and in the US, it's number 9 on the Xbox store, and in the UK, it is also number 9. Now, the reason why it's interesting is because number 1 is Arc Raiders. That is a £30 game. I think it's £30, 99 pence. You also have 2 versions of FIFA. I'm not calling it EA Sports FC 25 or whatever it's called. But you have 2 versions of FIFA. You have Red Dead Redemption, which was on sale, and Call of Duty and some other game. Oh, yeah. I think like it might be Oblivion or something. But basically, the games you'd kind of expect to see in the top 10 are there. So it's doing really well, right? Which is good to see. You know, there's been a want for this game for a long time. I mean, look, I'm sure everyone listening right now, you've seen me tweet about Final Fantasy VII Remake once or twice. 100 times. But I have to say, I've played it. I'm on to chapter 6, I think. I'll have to check again. I'm around 10 hours in, because I'm taking my sweet time with this. This game is... I'm trying not to swear. This game is incredible. It is exactly what I've been wanting for a very long time. Now, I've kept away from all media when it comes to this game, outside of its trailers. That's how I make the GIFs. But I am so taken back by how expanded the story is. Because I've played the original game. I know the story of the original. So I didn't expect certain sections to be, you know, just like different story additions that weren't in the original. I should have expected this, but my God, it's so good. You know, I play a lot of JRPGs, and people will notice that side quests in these games typically don't have voice dialogue a lot of the time. You'll have basically the character mumble, and then you're just reading the text. Well, this game is super high quality. All of its, at least so far, is voice to dialogue. It's easily explained. The combat style is super fun, super easy to get into. It's not overly complicated, because I feel like some JRPGs can go overboard with the menus. It's streamlined. It has super amazing quality of life features. It has a photo mode that you can even use during cutscenes. Thank you, Square Enix. That will be getting used a lot. And it is just... it's incredible. It's so good. I'm playing it on performance mode, and I don't even know why there's a quality mode. Right? The quality mode doesn't look that much different. So you have, I think it's like 1500p at 60 frames per second. It's native 4K at 30, but with the the way the resolution scaling works and the post processing, like there's no advantage to having it in 4K. So like it's amazing. They've done a 60 FPS mode on the Series S as well, which is great. And I've seen Series S footage, looks fantastic. I will say this about the late ports. This, Death Stranding, and Silent Hill 2 Remake, amazing Xbox ports. Amazing. Across the board. And yeah, I'm just absolutely loving this game. It's incredible. Jesse Raspberry, charming as hell. Clearly really needing some cloud. If people have seen that cutscene, they'll know what I'm talking about. But my God, it's just great. Logan, I'll be gushing about Final Fantasy some more, but did you get a chance to play Final Fantasy VII Remake yet?
I have not. Like I said, I've been all in on Death Stranding, but I did buy it, and I bought the deluxe so I could get the soundtrack, the art book, and the extra, gear for the game. And I'm super stoked to dive in. It's an all timer, like the original one. So
Yeah.
I've only heard great things about the remake, and the fact that they add way more story expansion and character development, like for Jesse and some of these other people who were like bit characters in the original one. um so I'm just super excited to dive in, and I can't wait. And it in the top 10 US for Xbox is a great sign. And pour one out for the haters who said Xbox players don't buy JRPGs, because clearly they do.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it was ever going to be number one. Like, a 5-year-old port was never going to be number one. But in top 10, especially, like, I think I saw the US list where you have, like, NBA 2K and Madden and stuff, which are always in the top 10. Like, those games sell ridiculously well. So it's doing great. No shocker that Arc Raiders is still number one, but my God, like, the funny thing is, I've been told hundreds of times that the game would never come to Xbox, right? My God, it feels good that now it is. The funny thing is, I hope some people did see this. I hope some people didn't, but like, legally, I have to say that I got a review code from Square Enix, and the replies I've had have been hilarious. So I had one reply telling me that I'm only now interested in Final Fantasy now that it's on Xbox. Like, dude, where the hell have you been? I talk about this series all the time. I talk about how 10 is one of my favorite games of all time, and yet Tidus has the most annoying voice ever when it comes to his laughing. Tidus in general is just annoying. But like Final
Yeah, he's
Fantasy
a
7,
whine
I played
bag.
that as a kid. Crisis Core, amazing. Final Fantasy 15, I liked Final Fantasy 15. So sue me. And yes, I'm one of the people that likes 13. Get the pitchforks out ready. Like,
Didn't you hear that 13 isn't available on modern consoles? Question mark?
oh God, if I swear, if I hear that one more time, I'm gonna lose my marbles. Not that I haven't
Oh,
already, but
it's drives me nuts because it's like we have a whole trilogy that basically got remastered by Jason and his team, where
yeah,
they were able to get original assets, and they're incredible.
yeah, it looks like a brand new game as well. Crazy. Um, and I love 13. So like, for me, I love the fact that these games are coming up. But my God, the angry replies. I can't say all of the replies because of the language, but people were just super sour. Like, who cares? I'm getting to play a game that you've had access to for 5 years. Yes, I got a review code, which is nice, but clearly Square Enix see some value in what I have to say. And also, it's basically free advertising at this point. The amount of times I've talked about that game, But now I've played it and I'm loving it. I think again I'm on like chapter 6 or 7, but my God, like, and I have another Final Fantasy game I'm currently playing at the minute. I'm currently going through 6. That game's really good as well. I think some of the pixel remasters are also in Game Pass. I think 2 is coming to Game Pass. I can't remember. But my God, it's just such a good game. Everything about it, like the voice cast alone, amazing, right? A lot of the voices sound really familiar. I'll have to see who they are, but a lot of the voices sound familiar. I did read somewhere that they are cast members from the TV series Teen Wolf. If that's the case, then that makes sense because I actually like that TV show. Um, but and just everything about it, like the expanded story between Cloud and Tifa, and just like again Jesse Raspberry, like everything about it, like Barrett, it's exactly what I needed. Right? It's cinematic. It's beautiful. The performance is great. The gameplay is great. The gameplay is super easy to understand. What? Oh, sorry. Nick W. Thanks again for the 199. He says, "What difficulty are you playing on? Just normal. Just normal." It did come with the like this version. I know the PlayStation version got patched as well. It's got like a bunch of quality of life features, so you get a bunch of uh like rings and stuff for effects during combat, but you also have the option to do 9,999 attack per hit. So if people just want to breeze through the story, that's there. It's a cool feature for people, but yeah, just normal. And I will say this on normal, I'd say for the most part it seems fair. I did struggle with one of the bosses last night, but I think that was mainly my problem because I kept pressing one of the wrong buttons. Because to use spells and actions in the game, you hold down the left bumper. For some reason, I keep wanting to hold down the right. Maybe I can change that in the settings. But yeah, normal's perfectly fine. And I think, if people just want to go through the story, you have the options there. I would not. I don't see myself playing this on hard in the future. I think I'll just, stick through with normal. But normal has been just a lot of fun. And the combat, like I expected the combat going in I thought it was going to be like Crisis Core. And I loved that combat. So like it's different enough that, I'm still getting used to it, but I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, I don't really have any complaints. Like maybe I'm like, I'm fanboying out a little over it, but like the combat's good. I'd say it's fair. I'm still getting used to how some of the systems work, but like, the voiced dialogue in side quests, the fact that there aren't millions of side quests, which are like, the side stories. Apparently, I unlocked a cutscene which you only get if you do certain side quests or all of the side quests in Chapter 3. Just the way it opens up, like the nostalgia's there because you have the cutscenes that are sort of in line with the original, but they've expanded on it. I can't really pick fault with this, like, at all. You can use the photo mode and cutscenes, like I said. That's going to get used to hell. I think that, when this year's done, this may be in, like, again, it's a bit early in the year to say it, but, like, man, I'm really enjoying this. This is going to be high up my Game of the Year list when it comes to 2026. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, it took its time coming over. It took a long time. But it was great. It's great so far. And I think there's like 18 or 17 chapters, and I'm on like 6 or 7. By the way, I still don't understand the 6 or 7 meme. I don't get it. I keep seeing people...
Yeah, don't get me started
Yeah.
on that, man.
Yeah, a bit of a tangent.
Oh, like
I'm on the internet a lot, so I understand memes 99% of the time, but when I start seeing people do the 6-7 thing, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Right? I feel like maybe I've missed out on something, but when people start getting their hands out and doing this, like, the scales going, 6-7, is that meant to be funny? Have I missed out on a joke? Like, I'm on the internet basically all the time, and I still have no idea what this meme is. Maybe it's like a Gen Z meme where a lot of the Gen Z memes are
100%.
kind of dumb.
It's like an elementary school age, like, joke thing that they laugh at, and it makes them really happy. And like, for example, like at a sporting event or game, like if the score ends up being like 6-7 or 67 or something, and like an announcer announces the score or says something, then all these kids will laugh or make noise or whatever. It's definitely a different generation than us.
My God, that have you ever seen the film Idiocracy?
Yeah, love that movie. Very historically accurate. It feels like now.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's a alpha gen meme. Well, whatever gen meme it is, it's bad.
The latest one.
Yeah, it's terrible. What a crappy meme. Memes back in our day had meaning. Uh, but
Average Farms remembers, man.
yeah. Oh my God, I feel like an old fart. But here we are debating memes. But Final Fantasy VII remake. What can I say? I'm loving it. And considering the pacing that I'm playing it, I'm guessing I'll be done in 2 weeks. It says average play time like 40 hours. Considering I like to do all quests, it might end up being 80 hours. We just don't know. I will say this: the motorcycle minigame. I really enjoyed that stuff. That was a fun minigame. Apparently, there's more minigames to come. But yeah. And by the way, it looks like we are going to get, and my prediction still stands, Rebirth this year. Because apparently they're going to gear up to announce the third game. Man, I'm happy, man. I'm super happy. I've been told for years it's not going to happen. It's finally here, and it's not just living up to my expectations. It's exceeding them. I was actually worried that I wouldn't like it. Like, could you imagine if the game came out and it didn't click with me? And
Oh, if it was Concord, but it was Final Fantasy VII.
yeah, like, oh my God, like I was actually scared of playing it because I enjoyed the demo, but you can't really tell if you're gonna enjoy a game off a demo. But like, I'm so happy like with the game because I was thinking, what if I don't like this game? And then it got me thinking, like, so like when I talk about this game, people are just going to show me receipts of like me not liking this game because I've tweeted about needing this game like 5,000 times. Thankfully, I'm loving it. It's great. Again, chapter 6 or 7. My God, that's such a dumb meme. But anyway, Logan, have you got anything else to say on Final Fantasy before we change topic?
Only that I remember back when there was a time that I thought the Final Fantasy VII DLC for Power Wash Them was the only
Oh
Final
yeah,
Fantasy VII experience I'd get to have on Xbox, and getting to clean Cloud's bike and the Scorpitron and all that stuff. I'm like, man, we have the assets here, the sound here, everything. This is cruel and unusual punishment. But it's cool I get to see it at least. But yeah, having the whole game, chef's kiss. Square has gone from villain to hero in my book with like what a world we live in now. From the start of this podcast, you and me were always, or not always, but often mad at Square for various tomfoolery. Now it's like, you know what? Square's great. I love Square. Square's my buddy. It's definitely good times.
yeah. Oh yeah. So when's the motorcycle section in the 7 remake? The motorcycle section, I think, if I remember correctly, it's chapter 4. It's either chapter 4 or early chapter 5. A bunch of the chapters kind of merge together because like the same set piece happens and then it changes chapter. But it's either 4 or 5. Chapter 3, for people that are just getting into it, do every quest on chapter 3. There's 6 quests exactly. You could do all 6 in about 30-40 minutes because you get an extra cutscene and dialogue option. I found out because I'm obsessed and I need to play all of it. But yeah, chapter 4 is the one with the motorcycle. I love that minigame, by the way. There is a motorcycle section in the original, not like this, like, way different. And I went into this thinking that the motorcycle stuff was just a cutscene. Because again, I've made God knows how many gifs off those trailers, and I just assumed it was a cutscene. Didn't expect it to be a whole section of the game, which it's cool. And sometimes mini games they can be annoying. But with this, like, it's a genuine, fun but simple, boss battle and sequence. And I loved it. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake integrate. Play it. And if you're on Xbox and you're new to JRPGs and you don't know where to start, this is a damn good place to start. Everything's easily explained to you. The story is fairly simple to understand in Final Fantasy VII. All the characters are likable. The soundtrack is incredible. Like for people that have played the original, it just zips you back. The soundtrack is incredible. But yeah, and if you've been looking for a new like high quality third person game, if you own an Xbox, you have to buy this game. You have to, by law, right now, do it. Or else. But yeah, highly recommended. And obviously we'll be talking about that more next week. You know what? Let's move on. We've got the Xbox Developer Direct to talk about because that was actually really good. Microsoft announced a new game during the show. They showed off new gameplay for Beast of Reincarnation. They showed off gameplay for Forza Horizon 6 and also Fable 6. Sorry, Fable. I'm all over the place today. Now we'll talk about Kiln quickly. It's a new PvP pottery game where you design pottery, shape, function, and then you go into PvP scenarios fighting other people's created pottery. Now, it is a Double Fine game, and it does look like something Double Fine would make, but I kind of like that, Double Fine just get left to be, they get left to make whatever the hell they want, because one of the worries that when Microsoft purchases them is that are they going to be too corporate and pump out, sequels or whatnot? It's like, no, they clearly making bat crap crazy games. Like the game that came out late last year, you play it as a lighthouse. Of all things, a sentient lighthouse and a bird. And it just works. So, hey, Killen looks cool. Again, I think there's going to be an open beta or a closed beta fairly soon. People can sign up for it now. Logan, what was your thought on Kiln?
Well, basically, it's not for me, but I really admire and respect the creativity. It's not something I ever would have thought of. Um, and I like the idea of like being able to craft your characters and mold them and like, okay,
Yeah.
this character is kind of like a vase. So what can a vase do? Or this thing looks like a jar. What would a jar do? Or a cup or a table, like whatever. And then trying to make abilities for these and then customizations. Like I see the vision and I think it's a fun idea. It's just not my kind of game. But I'm glad that Double Fine's allowed to just do whatever the heck they want. And because basically they've made a bunch of really cool stuff over the years that I've liked because it's different and weird and quirky and it just worked. Like, I loved Brutal Legend except for when it
It turns
changed
into
genre
RTS.
randomly. And then there's their classic games like the motorcycle one. I can't like
Full
Full
Throttle?
Metal, I think, and then the Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango and Psychonauts, like, and then Iron Brigade. They make all kinds of random across genres, Costume Quest. So I'm glad that they're allowed to just be them and make these fun small titles. Like we need more just weird in the industry. We were talking Death Stranding earlier. They're like weird, but in a different kind of way. Weird.
Yeah.
So just let Tim Schafer and his team make their pottery games or whatever the heck they want. Even if one individual title's not for me, I'm happy that they're making fun stuff that I can respect at least.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, I think we say all the time gaming needs more weird, and they definitely know how to make weird. Like Psychonauts 2. I think Psychonauts 2 is probably one of the most like fun times I've had with a third person or a 3D platformer. And they just get it. They know how to make weird games, quirky games, and I'm sure it'll be fun. I did like Brutal Legend, but like you said, the switch to RTS, I think that shocked a lot of people when that game came out. Because like, oh, you've got this action adventure game where you play as Jack Black in Hell, and you're talking to Ozzy Osbourne and all these other like metal heroes, and then it turns into an RTS like out of nowhere. But man, like they nailed it. Like they nailed just like creativity in gaming. But hey, I'll check it out. Hopefully it's cool. And if anything, I like the idea of making pottery in a game more than fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. I
Uh,
would probably do it as a mini game, to be honest. It
yeah,
looks fun.
there's probably going to be achievements tied to that as well. Next up they showed Beast of Reincarnation. This game was technically announced like 4 years ago by Game Freak. Those are the developers of the Pokemon series. And we didn't really see anything. We got a trailer last year where they showed off a little bit of gameplay where it looked like it looked like a Souls game. And it turns out it's not a Souls game. Thankfully. I am getting a bit Souls fatigue. Um,
Same.
that said, if Elden Ring 2 came out tomorrow, I will be all over it. Day one. But Beast of Reincarnation, it's just a single-player action RPG. The developers describe it as a one-dog and one-person RPG. Okay. I loved the simple description, but it looks super cool. It's set in a post-apocalyptic Japan where kind of nature is taking over the urban environment, but there's also things like robots still roaming around, which is really cool. But this just goes to show that Game Freak can make a absurdly beautiful game given the time, right? I've seen a lot of people in the Pokemon space online argue back and forth about why does this game look so good, and it just boils down to one thing: time, right? Pokemon could probably be the best looking game of all time if the developers had more than a year to make these games, right? They have to pump out a new Pokemon game every, 2 years or 1 year a new Pokemon game comes out.
I don't know. It feels like super fast.
It's fairly often, but like I bet they could come up with some Breath of the Wild Pokemon style thing if they had a couple of years to make a game. But unfortunately, they don't. But with Beast of Reincarnation, they've had a lot of time. It looks great. It's coming out this summer. And, it's also launching day one in Game Pass Ultimate, which is really nice. But yeah, Logan, what do you think of that? Because it was a beautiful looking game.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Like you said, my first thought was, Souls-like. But
Yeah.
then I actually saw it play out and watched it, and I'm like, I'm really digging this. Like, for those who haven't played on PlayStation stuff, like, there's a game called Last Guardian, and it kind of has some vibes from that. That studio also did Ico and Shadow of the Colossus and stuff like that. So like they're used to making really interesting stuff. And so the vibes of that coming over for this looks really cool. And then I like the idea of you and your wolf companion, kind of like Pokemon, where you've got, your partner Pokemon, your starter, and you just go around on this big quest. But in this one, it's kind of got some like naturey, Ghibli kind of themes, like Princess Mononoke
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that other stuff, and then mixed with modern action. And I think the story is going to be pretty deep for bonds and what unites us or threatens harmony and stuff like that. Like it's very Japanese and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a bunch of fun. And, again, that comes out summer in Game Pass day one. I do hope maybe people at Nintendo or whoever makes the decision about the Pokemon games, maybe take a look at that game and just let those developers cook, right? Let them make a Pokemon game in like 3 years as opposed to one, right? And I think the Switch 2 is a powerful console, right? They could make something that looks nuts on that thing. They just need the time. So I mean, look, back to Final Fantasy. I've seen the Final Fantasy 7 remake port on Switch 2. It looks amazing, right? Genuinely looks amazing. Like, so they can do all sorts with that console. But yeah, again, that game's coming out on basically everything. Weirdly enough, everything but a Switch. Weird that.
Very interesting.
Um,
Considering, Game Freak is essentially a satellite of Nintendo.
yeah, but I'm sure there's been conversations behind the scenes, and I, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they came to that decision. Anyway, next up we have Forza Horizon 6. I mean, look, Japan. People have been wanting this since the beginning. It looks beautiful. They're gonna have like an emphasis on Japanese car culture because I feel like with the past couple of Forza Horizon games, they don't really focus on the car culture of that country. You know, when the Mexico setting, I didn't feel like there was a Mexican car culture setting or Mexican car culture in that game. And like when we had the UK in Forza Horizon 4, I never once felt like there was British car culture in the game, right? But in this, they featuring Japanese car culture, drifting and all this stuff. And Logan, you got your wish because the skyline was in the trailer about 5 seconds in.
Yeah, I was like, thank you. Whoever at Turn 10 and Playground was listening, thank you for putting the skyline featured in the game.
Yeah, I mean, having it in the first couple of seconds just let us know, okay, finally, because I'm a big fan of the skyline from the early 2000s. I think that car is beautiful. Maybe it's because I've seen Fast and the Furious too many times, if there's such a thing. But man, this game looks phenomenal. You're gonna have the neon city filled streets of Tokyo. The forests around Mount Fuji. It looks like it's gonna be amazing. It's Playground games. They don't really mess up Forza Horizon games. The first game wasn't as open. It was mainly just roads. The second game had more kind of wildlife elements. 3 in Australia. I think 3 had the best soundtrack. I'll put that out there. 3 was more open as well. It had more off-road racing. Same with 4, and 4 had the dynamic seasons. And 5, I think 5 has the best circuit races, but all in all, they do a better job each and every new title. And man, Japan looks beautiful in this game. It really does. Japanese car culture, they mentioned drifting. Drifting is in part of Japanese car culture. So, like, I'm guessing, like, you could already drift in the Forza games. Like, clearly, there's drift races, drift tracks. But it will be interesting to see if they've changed how drifting works, because if you see some of the tracks in the trailer, there's like these tight mountainside roads, which looks like they'd have to change it. But look, it's Playground games; they know what they're doing, right? I think the game's gorgeous, and as they showed close to the end of the trailer, it looks like we're gonna get Gundams in some expansions, maybe, and we've been talking about this for a while since they announced it was going to be in Japan. I think we may have mentioned Gundams when it was announced. They can clearly go over the top with Japanese stuff. We're going to have J-pop maybe. I can't wait to hear what those radio stations sound like. Maybe I've been listening to way too much K-pop or J-pop, but I think the radio stations are going to be interesting. I think the fact that they can have interesting events, because in Forza Horizon 4 you had a Halo event and you had a Cyberpunk 2077 event, although that was just a normal race with that car. But they can probably go really wild, and showing that Gundam, at least it looked like a Gundam. Sky's the limit. Logan, what do you think? Because it looks like Playground Game knocked it out of the park, and apparently we're going to have Gundams.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Like, I've always wanted to play Japan as a setting for this franchise. Like, nobody does cars better than Playground and Turn 10. So I'm super excited to jump in and see, take out a skyline and do the tuner type tracks with, the deep hard drifts, and like I bet they're gonna be an emphasis on like ramen houses and all kinds of like cool Japanese culture stuff. And then you saw a Gundam, whether it's a Gundam or a Gundam at home for legal reasons, who knows? But I'm excited. Like I can't wait to see how crazy they go with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to assume we might get some anime stuff as well, like maybe Attack on Titan. Maybe actually Attack on Titan with Forza, that could work. You could have
Yeah.
actually. Could you have the naked Titans running? Like that'd be weird. Actually, now that I think about
They'd
it.
probably have to do it like Hulk with torn shorts or something, but
Yeah.
yeah.
They could do anything, and yeah. I mean, I have seen some apparent professional Gundam makers online say what we saw wasn't a Gundam. Maybe they're just taking some artistic license. I don't know, but we're getting big robots in the game, big Japanese robots. By the way, I was heartbroken to recently find out that the massive Gundam in Japan, which you can visit, apparently got shut down.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, come
yeah.
on.
I do plan on going to Tokyo or Japan at some point. Uh, Hopefully this year, maybe next year. And I was wanting to say that like life-size Gundam. Yeah, it's not a thing anymore. Why? Of all things, everything just gets taken away from me. But yeah, it looks like they're going to do a great job. It's Playground Games, right? People might say I'm glazing Playground Games, but they haven't made a bad game. They really haven't. They make fun racing games. They clearly know what they're doing. And Forza Horizon kind of became the dominant Forza brand. Because, like, Forza Motorsport always used to do well. But, like, Horizon is just way more accessible. It's got the party thing. It's got the whole, like, what's it called? Festival event thing going on. You can pick it up and play it. You don't really have to know much about cars. And personally, I prefer Forza Horizon. It's just a
Same.
super fun game. Listen to music, and honestly, I actually just like driving around in Forza. Don't necessarily need to do the races. Just put on the radio, drive around. Look at me, I'm the most thrilling person alive. But it's just relaxing. I like it. Anyway, that's Forza, and that comes out on Xbox. Oh yeah, in May. I didn't expect it to come out that soon. I thought that was going to be pushed to the end of the year, and I thought Fable might be first just because of some vibe I got. But hey, I'm happy to be wrong in this case. Let's see what we've got next. Oh yeah, Fable. My God. Right. So, when Playground Games were first bought by Microsoft in 2018, we were told that they're working on a brand new open world fantasy RPG. But we didn't know what it was. We all kind of knew it was Fable, And they went in depth with this showcase. They showed us. Actually, I'll get this out of the way quickly. They said that they've paid attention to Lionhead's previous work, what they built, and I do think that is a great show of respect to the previous developer because Lionhead were the Fable studio, and unfortunately they got shut down. And it looks like there's a lot of Lionhead love in this game, And I'll put this out there. When the new Fable was announced a couple of years ago, I actually thought it was just going to be another traditional third-person fantasy RPG just with, sarcasm and British overtones. I didn't think it was going to have Fable 2 and 3 gameplay mechanics at all. And, again, happy to be wrong because that kind of seemed like it would have been a safe thing to do. Or you've got to save the world. Here's some dragons. Here's some trolls. Go fight with some swords and magic, right? The typical thing. This thing is going to have Fable 2 and 3 gameplay mechanics where you can buy properties, rent them out, sell them to people. You can kick people out. You can form relationships with other characters, multiple different characters at the same time if you want. Hell, in Fable 2, you could catch things if you kind of know what I'm talking about. If you got around too much, you got something. And in this game, it looks like they're bringing back all those features. You can have kids. You can kick people out of the houses if you want. And all of these people in the world will form an opinion on what your character's like. So if you're rich, they may not like you. If you're grateful to people, if you maybe give people money, if you put more money into the local society, maybe they'll treat you better, all that stuff. The characters are going to react to every action you do, but also there's going to be big things in the environment, such as the big that person that becomes a giant. That will affect the story. There's over 1,000 handcrafted, created NPCs in the game, which all have different daily routines. You can follow people around. By the way, I love it when video games do that thing, right, where everyone is an actual person in the game. It kind of makes the world feel more alive. Not a lot of games do this. Elder Scrolls games and Fallout games kind of do that. And it's just a more immersive thing to me. But then they announced that, oh yeah, that stuff will affect things throughout the game, plot points, world, all that stuff. The world is beautiful. Not only are you gonna have trees and forests like you do in most fantasy games, but you're gonna have these like big magical mushroom forests and stuff. The graphics are beautiful. This is using the Forza Tech engine. Whoever thought you can make an RPG out of a racing engine? Now you know. It also has a somewhat character creator. And by the way, for people that have followed me for a while, you'll notice that every single time I talk about Fable on Twitter, I've had the exact same replies to every single post since. People complaining about what the main character looks like. I have not talked about this online because I didn't really feel the need to. I've kept quiet about it, right? People for the past couple of years have just assumed we're going to be able to play as this one person. Fable has never had a character creator. There's this weird Mandela effect in gaming, which I've noticed for years now, where people have just assumed that you've been able to make your character in Fable. That's not the case. You pick between a girl and a boy. That's it. You could dress them up, put a silly hat on, maybe, go to a store or whatever, and you could even put like a fancy mustache on. It never had a character creator. That's a weird misconception about Fable. And people have complained about every single post that's still live about, I can't play this game because of what the main character looks like. So I've kept quiet about it, right? There was always going to be multiple characters to play in the game. Boy and a girl, right? And now they say that you can pick between several different heads, skin colors, tattoos, facial hairs, hairstyles, clothing, all that stuff. And that's cool, right? So all the people that have whined non-stop for 3 years, congratulations, you can shut your mouth. But the game looks fantastic. Logan, before I get onto what I was going to say with Fable, what was your take on what we saw with Fable? Because they went pretty in-depth and showed a lot of different gameplay features. But, I never thought we would see Fable 2 and 3 gameplay mechanics and, the character creator, kind of. Oh, I think Logan's maybe dipped out. Logan, are you still there?
Okay, sorry, my mouse cut out for a second. It's back now. My mic.
That's all right.
My thoughts were, it looks incredible. This looks like the Fable I always wanted for the next Fable. Like after
Oh. Yeah, Logan, you cut out again. Tech issues. Got to love it. Yeah, Logan, just back out and jump back in again. Discord is having some kind of issues.
Sorry, I don't know why my mic keeps cutting out for some reason. But yeah, it looks like the next natural step for Fable. It looks incredible. It's beautiful. The Forza tech, the characters, being able to use the Fable 2 shopkeeper and landlord mechanics, and being able to marry all these people in different towns and have all these different families, or get blackmailed, or evict somebody and be a total scumbag, or be a totally benevolent ruler, and the giant and the consequences for that, the morality system not being a simple white or black, but being kind of shades of gray, or subjective, I think is really cool. And I've seen this weird criticism that they're like, "Oh, well, you're not getting horns or angels anymore." I'm like, yeah, it fit the older ones, but if you look at the tone and the style of this one, it would seem kind of out of place for the character engine and model and the world that they're building. They're doing, you know, paying homage to Lionhead, and they're using mechanics and things people loved from the originals and the humor, the overall vibes, but they're also making it their own. So they're not going to adapt everything. So to me, I can't wait, and I'm super excited for this day one.
What was your thought on the character creator, but also the reaction to it?
I thought that was interesting. I will say I did notice that, and I don't think it was probably by accident, that the character that they showed in the trailer this time, you only saw her from the back or the side. You never saw her face. I think it was probably a choice to not bring attention to that again and make that a whole discussion again, right or wrong. I do think that character creation is a good idea. One, it gives people more options, which is good. More options is always good. And two, it gets these people that claim to be concerned about that to shut up for a while. There'll always be people, campaigning against the game or
Yeah.
saying it's woke or this or that or whatever. Like, do these people actually have any legitimate interest in the game at all, or are they just spouting nonsense? I kind of wonder sometimes.
Yeah.
So, in general, I'm excited. I can't wait to see a Balverine. That's what I really want to see more than anything, is see how terrifying they make a Balverine. Because those things were horrifying in the original ones. And especially you hear that howl, you know you're in for trouble. So I can't wait.
Yeah, you mentioned the whole like reaction to the morphin thing or whatever it was called, where if you were bad, you would get horns, but if you're a good guy, you'd get like a, a halo above your head, right? Honestly, that doesn't really bother me at all. Like I never liked the idea that because I play as a good guy in role playing games, right?
Mhm.
So when I played Fable 2 and 3, I didn't, or more specifically 2, I didn't really like the idea that, oh, I had this halo above my head all the time. Like, I didn't like that part of the game. I was just playing as a good person, and I just didn't like that. It's the same with, like, if you play Mass Effect. Look, shocker, I make another topic about Mass Effect. It's like, if you play Mass Effect 2, good or bad, Shepard will look different by the end of the game, right? Like that kind of makes sense, kind of. But even then, with Mass Effect 2, I'm like, it's a bit unnecessary, right? you know, um, I didn't like the glowing horns. I didn't like the sparkly halo angel wings. Like, no, stop it. That's Peter Molyneux taking mushrooms, right? it, it, it is what it is, right? Let's be honest, right?
I mean, you're not a Sith Lord where you develop yellow eyes and you're just pure of evil malice like Star
Exactly.
Wars lore. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean it's a fantasy setting, and personally, I didn't like the fact that again I had a halo above my head. Um, but anyway, I think the game looks fantastic. It not having that feature in the game, like I get it if people like that feature and they'll miss it, but if you take what Fable is and just boil it down to that one feature, and you're saying that you're not buying it or not going to play it because that one morphin feature is not there, come on. Right? And the thing
You
is,
still bloody kick chickens for crying out
yeah,
loud.
you can still kick chickens. It's all good. You know, I assume there's going to be more mini games. Oh, the blacksmithing game is back, but better than ever. I spent way too much time in the blacksmithing mini game. Way too much time. Um, and
I wonder if pub games are back.
yeah, like I'm just happy, man. Like Fable went away for so long. We haven't had a Fable game since 2010. I'm not including the mini games one. I'm not including the Connect game. You know what? I might actually try and pick up the Fable Connect game just to see what it's like.
Oh,
Because
Legacy or Legend or whatever? Yeah.
I think it was called Fable Legacy. I know Fable Legends was the one they cancelled, which I actually played. Um, that's all I'll say on that. But I might try and pick up the Connect one to play because I still have a 360 Connect here. But yeah, Fable, it looks fantastic. Again, I'm surprised that they're doing the whole owning houses thing. Didn't expect that. Um, for people that don't know, if you played Fable 3, there was a physical representation of how much money you had. in the form of a big stack of gold in a room, right? And depending on how much time you played or how much you had vested into properties, like that pile could be the size of a bucket or the size of a room itself, right? It was actually a really cool feature, and you could actually manipulate that because money would gain interest over time when you hadn't played the game. So if 2 days had passed, you'd have X amount of interest. But if you change the time on your Xbox 360 to 2026, you'd have basically a massive pile of gold overnight. It was hilarious. But hey, Fable's back. And, I will say this, that people showed their Fable tourism when it came to what they showed, because I saw posts, people losing their minds saying, oh my god, Fable gets a character creator again. It's like, it's never had a character creator. Like, people can be excited about the character creator, don't get me wrong, but people being excited over a character creator and that's it, not the fact that Fable's back and it has all these cool gameplay features. People saying, oh, I can't wait to play Fable for the very first time. It's like, you've had the option to play a Fable game for so many years, and only now you're excited. And it's like, Fable's been known as a bad game, but because some people are going to get to play it now, that's a topic for another day. That really annoyed me. Like, I've been told a million times that the new Fable looks terrible, and Fable is a bad IP, and now these people are actively excited about it. It's a bit hypocritical, isn't it? But
Yeah, the multi-plat effect, baby.
yeah, I mean, Halo's bad, Gears is bad. Now they're both good. And the funny thing is, this is a bit of a tangent. All this infighting you see online about games, which games people can play and whatnot. This is only the US list, but I don't know about the UK. It's probably the same. But like, recently a list came out of the top played games on Xbox and on PlayStation in the US for 2025. And do you know the list was almost identical? You had Fortnite, Ark Raiders, Call of Duty, GTA, Minecraft, NBA 2K, whatever year it is, and like one or other games sprinkled in, like maybe a Lego game or something, right? We all played the same crap, yet this infighting makes no sense, right? It's like, and then you have the people acting like it's a bad breakup, right? We've known about Microsoft's multi-platform stuff for a couple of years now, but you have people that will whine incessantly on social media about it and make videos about how Xbox is dead. It's like, okay, I get it, right? And by the way, for people that don't know, when you see a lot of these videos in January, that's because ad revenue is at its lowest in January. So you see more fanboy content in January because they're trying to make up for lost revenue. Congratulations. The secret's out. I refuse to cover that crap. It really makes my blood boil that people just focus on that. There's tons of good stuff to talk about in gaming. This year's going to be one of the best years in gaming ever, right? And people just want to focus on made-up bad stuff. Like, it's clown behavior. Like, yes, would it be easy to get clicks? And this is another tangent. It would be easy to get more clicks by holding a controller up in a thumbnail, pulling a stupid face, and saying Xbox is dead. But if you look at Microsoft's games coming out this year, they're changing the PC gaming hub and like how the menu works. Cloud gaming's gotten better. Xbox Game Pass for January has been nuts, by the way. We haven't talked about this. So you have things like Death Stranding, Director's Cut. You have Space Marine 2 is going to be in Game Pass in... that'll be the 29th. And for people that haven't played Space Marine 2, why? Why haven't you played Space Marine 2? But these people are going to be in for such a good ride. That is such a good game. I mean, myself and Logan have talked about this game probably 100 times because it is a ridiculously good game. But, man, like, if the only people complaining about gaming right now are saddos, right? It's going to be a great year. Everyone's got something to play. So many different genres covered. So many different new games. Like, look, I don't think I've mentioned this, but Logan, you know how we talk about basically on a weekly basis how like the AAA space is bland and everything's predictable and all this stuff.
Yeah, creativity is, cooked and all that, yeah.
Yeah, like creativity is at its worst now in gaming, right? So like that's why when when I see something like an Expedition 33 come out and people loving it, right? And it shows people like, hey, these developers can try something different, right? And that gave me some hope. Do you know? I don't know if I mentioned this. There was a game that was announced last year, right? That Pyro and Madden chat let me know about, and I lost my absolute marbles because this game didn't leak. There was no rumors of it, and it came out of nowhere and floored me. Right? I was practically speechless when this game was announced. So Pyro Madden chat DM'd me this trailer, and it was for a game called The Expanse: Osiris Reborn.
Oh yes, this looks like incredible.
Yeah, this game came out of nowhere, right? Didn't leak, and I pay attention to all this stuff, you know, like what developers are working on and stuff. This didn't leak at all. That the developers of oh my god, I forgot the name of the games. The Warhammer turn-based RPG. I forgot what it's called. But they make
Rogue Trader?
Rogue
Is
Trader,
that it?
right? They made
Yeah.
games like Rogue Trader and similar games like that, right? They announced that they're making this third-person shooter RPG that's very much in the vein of Mass Effect 2, but set in the Expanse universe, right? I lost my mind because, one, I love the Expanse. And if people haven't seen that, how dare you, right? Change that immediately. Watch the Expanse. Like that, it floored me. I didn't think we'd get a AAA third-person RPG set in the Expanse universe. So, like, to me, that was like a big standout announcement last year, and hopefully it will actually come out this year. There's no news or anything about it yet, but like that game absolutely floored me when it comes to its announcement. And it's like there's so many good games coming out this year. Like, for people that don't know, or if you're joining late, like I've had a chest infection over the past couple of weeks. I've had a video that I've been working on for the past 2 months called The Biggest Games Coming to Xbox This Year. It's an expansive list with I've had to do a million different edits because release dates have kept changing over a bunch of different games. The game list is finally coming out tomorrow. I hope people enjoy it. The support would be greatly appreciated because, again, these videos take sometimes upwards of 30 hours to make, right? A lot of time came into this, and it was meant to be out about 3 weeks ago. And I've had to do like 20 edits since then. But like the amount of games coming out this year is actually ridiculous. All this talk about, how GTA is the only big game coming out this year, it's like people don't really know what's coming, right? 2026 at the end of the year will be put up there with things like 2007, 2010, and you're going to have 2026 there as well. So many good games in different genres coming out that nobody's going to be left wanting. You have JRPGs, third-person action adventures, first-person shooters, first-person fantasy games, sci-fi RPGs, literally anything you can think of. And I'll never include sports games just because I don't play them. But anyway, it's going to be a good year for people. And everyone in chat has been amazing. Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
No, I'm.
Oh, you cut out again. Let's give Logan a couple of seconds. Yeah, don't know what's going on. Tech issues. Logan, are you there? Okay. Oh, I see his name flashing.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the Expanse game. It looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, look, hopefully we do see the Expanse game come out this year. I'm a bit wary of it just because the developers, they've shown plenty, by the way. And by the way, they do actually have people that have been to space working on the game, which shows that they're actually dedicated to making the game feel realistic because the science in the Expanse is actually pretty realistic. It's just why that actually stands out as a sci-fi IP. And if people haven't watched The Expanse, please watch it immediately. It will change your life. I put it up there with Battlestar Galactica. I really do.
It's true.
I just saw, what's this? Oh, Nick W in chat said he pre-ordered Remnant and Requiem. Like, next month alone, again, I have a video coming out about that over the weekend. Like, the next few months alone, absolutely stacked. The rest of this year is stacked. And, again, if you're looking forward to games coming out this year, pay attention to tomorrow's video. You'll really like it. That took me like 30 hours to make. But again, everyone in chat has been amazing. We're back for a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast next Tuesday, same time as usual. Considering we still have some topics left over, we'll probably have a slightly longer show next week, depending on what happens. And if everything goes according to plan, between now and next week, there will be 2 videos out, maybe 3. So all the videos are meant to come out in January. It basically should be out in the next week. Anyway, we hope everyone has a good day. We're out, everybody. Peace.